Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. It's Dr. Shawne from Project Forgive, and I'm one of those that shows up on Mondays with a lecture with a topic. I really love tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is about picking your battles. And it's funny, whenever I pick a lecture topic, because everything I do on Project Forgive is in terms of our live shots, are around communication and bringing people together, and forgiveness is the theme of everything for me and for us here at Project Forgive, right? And whenever I go look up a topic, like let's say I already know what next week's going to be, it's going to be about a forced apology. And I rarely find the research or what I want to talk about because I like uniqueness. And the topic tonight of picking your battles, it's going to be not what you expect. It's not going to be what you expect. So I'm looking up articles, picking your battles. It's just really, what would be the cliche answers, like do this. And it's like, are you serious? So I'm hoping that you'll enjoy the conversation tonight. I see you guys are starting to show up. And for those that know, last week I had to move the lecture, Forgive. Dealing with some pretty heavy stuff in my family system, and my daughter, who is 6 months pregnant, lost her baby this past week. I know, it's been very rough, and I'm actually inspired to do the lecture tonight, and yeah, that's what there is to say about that, right? So before I get started, and the topic tonight is picking your battle. And the reason I wanted to share that too is I'm not my usual joyful, happy, let's rock and roll self. There's a lot going on over here. And so a couple of things. I see you guys are showing up. I appreciate it. Mwah. I already know. You guys are so awesome and amazing. And I just want to say one more thing about it. It's just our family system has had so much strife and heartache. And I know so many families have because of COVID. I have friends that have lost both parents to COVID. Does anyone else know someone like that? And so it's just been a lot, right? Yeah. And prayers are welcomed. And prayers are welcomed for healing, for moving through the tremendous grief. So, yay. Some of the things I'm going to talk about tonight about picking your battles came from my journey to get here last Monday on a plane. I went on a plane for the first time since COVID. And I'm just going to show you this because I think it's really freaking funny. I wore one of these. Hold on, I'm in my room. Okay, here we go. Brielle, my little 4-year-old granddaughter, was playing with it, but I wore double masks. I wore this. I mean, I really made sure I was safe flying out here. And I'm going to be here for a couple of weeks appropriately, so right? And my little girl needs her mama. So a couple of commercials. Our talk tune-up tonight for those just joining is picking your battles. I've got to say thank you to General Motors for partnering with us. General Motors, hands down, is one of the most progressive companies when it comes to inclusion, respect, authentic conversations, agility, and they really do practice what they preach. And I just love that they love the work that we're doing at Project Forgive. They're a big partner of ours. I also want to shout out the Joy page. They're one of our sharing partners, and it happens to be, for those who don't know yet, it's my husband's page. And he gets up and does his lives on Sunday on sustainability and growing our own food. That's his big thing. And yeah, and tonight I'm also going to give away a prize, and I will tell you all about that. Just so you know, I can hear a screaming 4-year-old. Someone may walk into the room screaming. Don't think it's going to happen, but it might. Okay, and if it happens, psst, it ain't that deep. Okay, if you're new, be sure to tell us. Because we'd love to welcome you. Plus, our community is so warm and loving that I even have permission to share such vulnerable stuff here. This is just an amazing group of people that come to this page. And a couple other things if you're inspired. We have masks. I'll be giving one away tonight. Here's what our masks look like. I just put it says kindness is contagious is what it looks like. I'm going to be giving one of those away tonight. If you want to buy one to support us, rock and roll, I'll put up a little link. We also have, joy is our big thing. Like when you really focus on joy, no matter what's going on, no matter how much strife your family's in or you're dealing with really hard stuff, finding those moments of joy really do make a difference for you. We even have a joy Facebook page. I'll put the link up there if you're inspired. Also, if you're part of a progressive company like General Motors that hires virtual or live presenters to do workshops on communication, that includes for us forgiveness in the workplace, high pressure, DE&I, We really love the high pressure conversations. Be sure to send them our way. I'll put a link up for you to send at your office for someone that might hire speakers for leadership development or HR or marketing, however that looks. Okay, I see you guys are showing up. I see ya. If you're inspired to leave stars, that money goes to the folks who can't afford our workshops, are able to attend for free. All right. So the thing I want to talk about the most with this conversation with picking your battles is the conversation of cognitive overwhelm. Fancy term for, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm in fight or flight constantly. We've been in this pandemic for a year now. And the thing is, our brains are not geared for us to be in fight or flight, or uncertainty mode 24/7. Our brains are not wired for that. So we need to rest our brains. That's why the conversation of joy is so important. And it's also why it leads into this conversation of picking your battles. Because the more cognitive overwhelm you experience, stress, panic, pain, uncertainty, are you paying your rent next month? Are you still going to have a job? What's going on with this PPP and COVID payments, and how do I apply? How do I make sure? Did my taxes get done? So they'll look at my 2020 taxes rather than my 2019 taxes. All this racial strife, all this political pain, the infighting, it's crazy what's going on, and all of that equals cognitive overwhelm. It just does. So, in especially cognitive overwhelm, it's even more important that you and I pick and choose our battles. Because the battles seem much more reactive than what they might be. So maybe somebody looks cross-eyed at you at the grocery store, and you're like, ha, they're so frickin' rude. And at another time and place, it wouldn't even faze you. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, everything is amplified. It's amped in this cognitive overwhelm. I see you guys are showing up. So glad to see you coming in. So, like, here's a conversation, okay? We consciously choose our battles, and I always use TV shows as examples because I love formulaic television. I'm a television producer by trade. And a show that I love is called Silent Witness. Have any of you ever seen the show Silent Witness? It's a BBC show. It's about a pathologist who get involved with murders and help solve the crime, and the witness is the person who has passed, and they're the silent witness, and if you look hard enough, you'll always find the evidence with the body. And this character, the main character, is in the first 5 seasons, whatever, her name is Sam. And this is like something she does in the show. And this reminds me so much of picking your battles. There's a very straightforward formula to these shows. There's 2 parts, something happens, somebody dies, and Sam shows up to find the body, and then all these other things start to evolve. And it usually turns out to be a much bigger conversation than what she might have thought. But I'm watching this episode, and she's walking up to a crime scene. She's walking with one of the DIs, or whatever they call it, the DCIs, or whatever they call them in Britain. And she hears a dad across the street screaming at his child and smacking him. Now, I'm not laughing because that's funny. What she does, though, is it's a conscious choice of choosing a battle. What she says out loud, and this detective is talking to her, okay, right next to her, and she's looking at him, and she looks across the street, and she just stops him in his mid-sentence and says, "Hey, stop it!" And publicly embarrasses him, that man, for how he's treating his child. Now, we don't know what's going on. We don't know why he was doing what he was doing. I just know that's something I would do. If I saw a parent really smacking a child, and I have done it before, I would choose to speak up. And there's nothing more in the storyline of that. It just shows you who her character is and what she's like as a person. And she's a real high integrity person. And that, to me, was a perfect example of picking your battle. Sometimes we react really fast, and then sometimes we actually think for a second, say, do I want to make this choice right now? And the trick is, or the key is, in picking your battles, is calming yourself down enough to make a conscious choice. And I'll give you a few examples because I've had a few this week. So I like to put this in this realm of here's the problem, here's the solution. So let me talk about it a little bit, about the things that I've listed, and then I'm going to give you some real examples, okay? So things to consider in the problem is, what are your priorities, right? Picking your battles, like what are your priorities? Is it worth it to keep correcting somebody on a Zoom meeting that keeps saying your name wrong? Is that a priority? Another thing to consider is, what's the relationship? Is it a personal relationship, an inside relationship, or is it an outside relationship? And to me, an outside relationship would also be your experience with and encountering somebody at Starbucks. It's an interaction, a connectivity with someone. Of course, there's different degrees of this, right? Because you would have more connection with an outside relationship at work. That is not your intimate, loving relationship in your home or with your family system. Work would be another layer, and then everyday people would be another outside layer. If you want to think about it like thinking about a theater, like in the front row is your family, maybe in the mezzanine is work, and then up in the balcony are the people that you meet, the dry cleaners, or connecting with someone, or I'm assuming you're following my logic. Say something to me that this is making sense, so I know this is making sense, okay, because I'm seeing a few comments. So things to consider: your priorities, your relationship, and the extra emotions and fight or flight cognitive overwhelm that's going on right now that we're all in the midst of. So those three pieces are really important, and they're a big part of the problem and figuring that out. The solution is, what is really that important to you? What really is that important? Whether it's inside, outside, or way outside, using that analogy of a theater. Is it in your front row? Is it in your mezzanine? Or is it in your balcony? The stuff in my balcony has less impact on my emotional stability. I'm more invested in my front row of my theater. Making sense? Make sure you show me that it's making sense. I'm glad to hear you guys. I see you guys. I'm so happy to see you too. Because for those that don't know, I was missing last week, Monday, because coming out here to Florida. Okay, great. Okay, and I got a sneeze, of course. So let me just wait for the sneeze to come. Maybe it's not going to. Okay, so the solution, there's three pieces. Now, just like I said, I'm going to tell you everything I say I'll put up. I'm also going to give you examples, so it'll just deeply start to resonate. So what really is that important to you? What can you do to soothe yourself if you're choosing to wait or choosing not to battle? I'll give you an example. And give and take, whether it's choosing to wait and when you're picking your battle, it takes high emotional intelligence. It is a leadership conversation. It's an internal growth conversation. Anybody can react. Babies react. 5-year-olds react. Teenagers react. Some adults react. And it takes a lot of skill to breathe before you react. It just does, right? Okay, so I've got some examples of this. So here's a perfect example of someone up in my balcony that I will never see again. So I'm getting on the plane last week. I'm in all my headgear. I get in my seat. I'm actually anxious because I have not flown. I'm one of those that have been very quiet, very safe, don't even eat in a restaurant. And with everything that's going on with the family system here in Florida, I had to fly because I didn't want to come here exhausted if I drove. So I flew. And I'm a Delta girl. I love Delta. Get on the Delta plane. I always get bumped up because I got lots of miles and all that. And I'm in a comfort seat, great. And so I'm sitting in my seat, and this older gentleman, I'd say he's in his 70s, maybe 80s, walks up to me. He's with his wife, and you can tell he's very upset. And he looks at me, he says, "You're in the wrong seat." And I had my earphones in, and I took my earphones out, and I look at him, and I says, "Really?" I says, "Let me pull out my," I stayed very nice and calm, okay? That's my MO anyway. And I'm hurting. I'm on the plane. I'm really hurting with all this hard news with the family system. And so I pull out my thing, and we're like, 12C. We're like, well, yeah, it's 12C. Turns out it was 12C. I was one row. I was on the wrong aisle, so I made a mistake. Now, prior to COVID, I probably flew weekly. I see people make mistakes in their seat all the time. It ain't that deep. I don't know if I ever have. I was pretty discombobulated, okay? So I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me move, you know? And he said something to me that hit every single button, and I wanted to smack him, okay? Ever been there? He said, well, next time maybe you'll read your ticket. And he said it just like that. And I could feel the whoosh up my body. I could feel the mean mom face coming on like, what? How dare you talk to me like that? La, 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 la. I didn't do that, but I felt like doing that. And what I did is I picked my battle. I said, okay, Shawne, take a deep breath. Okay, deep breath. So I did. And I started talking to myself, soothing myself, saying, okay, you will never see this guy again. Ever. Ever. He was deeply shaming. That is so true. Then I debated, okay, take a breath. What do you want to say back? Because now I'm deciding what I'm going to say. Not if I'm going to say something. It's what I'm going to say. So I'm saying to my man, I'm going to say, you know, that was really rude and inappropriate, how you just talked to me. And I'm embarrassed that you chose to talk to me like that, or whatever. Okay, so I've had all these scenarios. Have you ever done this where you're sitting there and you're thinking, what can I say? What should I say? Blah, blah, blah. And while I'm practicing what I'm saying, I'm soothing myself. There's something about saying it in your head to soothe yourself that you don't feel the need to tell the person. It was not a battle worth picking. So I chose not to say anything. I chose to accept the apology I'll not receive. That's an activity that we do quite a bit on Project Forgive, pretending that he's apologizing to me in my mind's eye. So I pretended he said, oh, Dr. Shawne, I'm so sorry. I was so shaming to you. The truth is, this is our first flight. I'm making this up, okay? It doesn't have to be true. This is our first flight. We're very scared. We're, you know, our immune system is, you know, we're very susceptible to COVID. We're very nervous. You sat in my chair already, which increased different things, right? And I'm really sorry that I was so rude to you. I said, yep, I'm going to accept that apology. Because when you battle, it takes energy. Battles take energy. And especially if it's an important one. This guy, who I will never see again, was not worth expending my precious energy as I'm moving into something that's going to take all my attention and my love and my compassion. And for those that missed it, my daughter lost her baby last week. She was 6 months pregnant. So I came out to Florida. So I'm swirling, so that was a good choice for me, okay? Outside person that I will never see again. Here's another example. The day before I left, I bought my husband a birthday present. This is an outside example, but probably more in the work realm for me, okay? So it's not up in the balcony, now we're in the mezzanine, okay? I'm hoping these analogies are working, okay? I appreciate you, you guys are amazing. So my husband wants this present. He wants this little pivo or pivo, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a little gadget you put your phone on that when you're doing lives, because he cooks and does lives on Facebook, it follows him. So it's just this really cool technology. So my husband says he wants it. I'm like, you know, no problem, honey bunch. I'll get that for you, you know, for your birthday or for his birthday, whatever. It was for his birthday. And so we order it on Amazon. We get it in the mail. It's a couple $100, okay? It's not like buying a puzzle on Amazon. It's a couple $100. And I see your comments. I just want to acknowledge them, okay? And we get this package in the mail. And if you've ever gotten the Apple packages where it's white and matte finish and it's just very elegant and beautiful, and if you smudge it, you leave a mark on it. Well, we get this pivo. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay, with pronouncing it, if you guys know what it is. And it's used. It's broken open. It's got fingerprint smudges all over it. And we're just like, oh my gosh, you know. So, picking your battles, okay? Talking this out with my husband. I don't say, oh, let's pick our battle. That's not what I said, but it comes up in my mind's eye. Like, okay, what do we want to do about this? Let's return it to Amazon and give the company the benefit of the doubt and, just get it replaced. Ain't that deep? So we do that. Unfortunately, the next one was even dirtier and more gross and more used. My husband was so upset because my husband sells on Amazon. My husband does e-commerce, and he said if he wanted to call the company and let them know. So I says, let me do something. This was a choice of expending energy doing it for my husband. So I go on LinkedIn and I just put in, marketing, data, marketing, whatever for Pivo. And I get the CEO or the CO, whatever, of marketing for this company. So I messaged her and I said, hey, as a business owner, I just want to give you a courtesy, let you know, we purchased your product twice on Amazon. It came back dirty and used both times. We opted for another competitor, and I just thought it was really important that you know this. And she responded right away. It was very clean. It wasn't high energy stuff for me. It was high energy for my husband, and that's why I chose to pick that battle, because I wanted to soothe him with that, for whatever reason, and there's many reasons. So that was worth picking that battle, okay? Some of you guys are saying, are you relating to some of these battles? I'm coming into a personal battle next. You guys are so sweet. I know. Thank you for the blessings and the prayers. For those just joining, my daughter lost her baby. She was 6 months pregnant. Just so hard. Yeah, thanks for the heads up there, Christine, or Ann, let's see, Rita, Mary asking for louder. I'll bring this closer. Thanks, Rita. Yep, let me see if you guys are not. Yeah, and Ruth, you're spot on about being brave enough to be disliked, because that's how I saw Sam from Silent Witness, saying, hey, when that guy was smacking that child in public, beating her, literally. Let's see. You want to say something about being decisive, Sandy, I see it, but I don't want to start something bad. Well, how about this? This is perfect. This is a conversation of picking your battles, right? And sit with it while we sit and go through a couple more things and see if it feels important to share. If you decide not to share it, because it's expending energy, right? Message me, and I'll respond to you there, okay? Another thing, like, and I love, Sandy, that you even said that. I think that's exquisite. See if there's anything else. Let's see. Perfect, Lynn. I love it. Yeah, thanks. All right, so now I'm at the front row of my theater. For those just joining, we're talking about picking your battles. We put it in 3 categories of, and use it a theater as an analogy. The people most important to you are in the front row of your theater. Those that you have relationship with, like at work or neighbors maybe, and they're not like deeply intimate in your life, they'd be in the mezzanine. And then people that you meet every day, day in and day out, that you will maybe never see again or have some kind of interaction, whatever, but they're strangers, they're in your balcony. So we've talked about the balcony, we've talked about the mezzanine, now we're in the theater, okay? In the front row of the theater. And a couple of things. All right, I'm gonna talk about my husband, because this is something me and my husband are really working on. So I've been anxious about taxes. Anybody else been anxious about taxes? Especially like with all these articles and stories about get your taxes done so they don't use your 2019 taxes when 2020 was whatever. And there's a huge distinction and difference between my 2019 and my 2020. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. And so I really want to get the taxes done, so when all this COVID stuff is being paid out with all that, so we can use our 2019 taxes. Making sense? So I have a couple of, I have Shawne TV and Project Forgive. I usually manage our personal taxes with our, what we pay for our house taxes, and, you get it. And my husband has 2 businesses, and everything was sent in to the accountant except for my husband's balance sheets and his profit and losses for both companies, and they're about done. So last week, I talked to my husband and said, and I was really whiny and crabby when I talked about it. Like, I really need you to get the taxes done. That when I say whiny and crabby, I mean not in my adult, higher emotional intelligence self. Because I can either choose to talk like that to my husband because I'm feeling unloved. Can't believe you don't have the taxes done yet. I did all of this work, I did all this stuff, and you don't have your taxes done. Okay? There's other communication that I have skills for, like, hey, sweetie, need your help. Noticing that my anxiety level keeps going higher and higher and higher with the taxes. Everything is all set on my end and with our personal. When do you think you could have this done? Because I need this anxiety lifted from my chest. He immediately responded. He said, I will have company 1 done on Sunday and probably company 2 done by Monday or Tuesday. And I said, that's great. So sure enough, I get an email from him Saturday that here's this company, it's all done. And I said, great. And today, it's Monday, he sent the taxes for the other company. The reason I say pick and choose your battles, because there's many things I want done at my house. Can anybody relate to that? What with what's going on with my daughter and her family. Our dog, you guys, the dog situation, you guys know we have a little Fergie. I don't know what it is with health in my family right now. There's a lot going on with health. Fergie is really ill, and she's on high medication. And Terry's at home. My husband's at home with the dog by himself, and I'm here in Florida helping here. And he is so stressed out. So before I approached him about the taxes and decided to be a grown-up, come from my higher self, I really sat and thought about what's most important to me. And right now the taxes are the most important. Are there several things important? There are. And right now I know with the precariousness of the high emotion and all the cognitive overwhelm, I'm going to pick and choose my battle, and my choice is taxes. Make sense? So that got handled. I won't ask Terry for anything else. Like, here's another example of that. Because what you can do with the people you love, if this is helpful, is you can actually have that conversation that I'm noticing I'm starting to feel anxious, anxiety, I'm feeling anger, I feel like I have to drag you along, and that's just not what's going on. I'm just not finding a way to communicate what I really, really need and where the priorities are. So I'm wondering, sweetheart, or son, or daughter, or grandma, or whatever, if we can actually talk about the things that are important to us, of things that need to get done, and maybe prioritize as a family or prioritize as a couple. And I did that with my husband. And one of the things that's been high on my list is getting a new kitchen floor, okay? And ever since Fergie got sick, loud noises, visitors, it really impacts her. She has a heart condition. And then she has a hard time calming down. And so we're very nervous about her heart condition. And so my husband said to me, he says, you know what I really need, sweetheart? I need to stop talking about the floor right now, the kitchen floor. Because the thought of bringing people in with Fergie, because we even talked about him going to his dad's cabin, taking Fergie up north or whatever, so I can get the floor done while he's gone. He said, I don't even want to do that. She's in her last days. I want to enjoy the last days. And every time you bring up that floor, I feel bad. Sharing this with you moves me. This moves me. Because somehow we think, and the reason I picked picking your battles, because we think everything has to be a fight. And it really doesn't. It really doesn't. And when we choose to soothe and calm ourselves, we get access to our higher selves. And we can actually start practicing some of the stuff I'm telling you to do. Because you do have to practice it. I'm not making this crap up. I know. It does take practice. And before you know it, you'll be masterful at it. It's so cool because you start reaping the rewards of the closeness. Because what I really think when it comes down to it, we just want to be close to the people in our lives. We want to have working relationships with people we work with. And we even want to feel some joy when we connect with strangers. Sometimes a stranger smile can be the highlight of your day, And I started with cognitive overwhelm in this conversation of picking your battles. And that's a reminder to be gentle with yourself, because I can fly off in a heartbeat, and I'm sure many of you can too. I'm sure you can really relate because emotions are so high, especially if you have tragedies going on, and I know many of us do. Even the tragedy of wondering how you're going to make your rent next week, that is a tragedy. It is. I've been there as a single mother. I know what that's like. I know what that's like. That is terrifying. So we all have different places, right? Yeah. So that's tonight's session. Thoughts, flag me on email. Thank you for all the prayers and the kindness. And actually, it was healing for me to be here tonight. Yeah, there's been a lot of healing going on. Just wondering, next week, I got it in my notes. He told me, he said, do this topic. We're going to do forced apologies. You ever had to force an apology when you're a kid, or do it as an adult? And so I'm going to provide some palatable ways to do a forced apology. I'm also going to talk a little bit about age appropriateness and cognitive skills for children. Give you some age brackets of what you can expect from children. Sometimes our expectations are way too high for children's little brains to be able to grasp certain things. Oh, Renee, I'm so glad you're a newbie. Welcome. You're welcome, Sandra. My pleasure. I do want to do a winner tonight. Someone's going to win this beautiful black Kindness is Contagious mask. Here's what I need when you win. I'm going to tell you how to win, okay? And it's not rocket science, and there's no rhyme or reason. I'm going to give you a phrase to say on the comments. You can tell I'm kind of here tonight, so not my usual self. I know you get it. I still do want to give away a kindness mask. I'm going to tell you a phrase to say. The first person that shows up in my feed with that phrase will win the mask. My husband back home is going to help me get that mask out. So, when you purchase masks, my husband's going to really help you, which has been wonderful. So what's the phrase going to be? Let's pick and you don't have to spell it right either. Okay? I just want to use the word patience. First person that puts up the word patience is going to get this. You need to be in the United States. I'm sorry about that if you're not in the United States, because we do this as part of our gifting, and it's out of our budget to be able to send to other countries. So U.S. only. Patience is the word. Caly Ann, it's you, girl. I love that you won. Patience, it's you, Caly Ann. And Caly Ann, you know the you know the drill. Message me here on Facebook. It's me and Hailey. No one's going to see your stuff. And make sure we have your email and your address, and we'll get that out to you. And you can pick black or white. I'll put black in if you don't make a preference. Yeah, you guys are awesome putting in even cheering each other on. You're just amazing people. So appreciate you and your kindness. And I really do. You guys are just amazing humans. And thanks for playing too. Okay? Hey, Mary Lou, I see you. Okay, guys, I will talk to you soon. And next week, forced apologies, and I'll see you during the week, okay? Much, 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 much love. Take care.